My name's Sean Hodkin. I'm a professional tennis player from Scunthorpe, and this is my journey on the lower end of professional tennis, hopefully to the top. My goal is to show you every step of the way and what it takes. Coming up, I hit some volleys. Toby Martin nearly kills me, and then nearly kills me again. And I answer the question, how good is the coffee at Queen's Club? So for me, training at Queen's Club is quite a surreal experience. I've always watched the tournament on TV and just thought that I'd never get the opportunity to play here. But here I am with a pasta stain down my shirt. I'm an absolute liability when it comes to food and drink. That's why I have to change into my whites when I get here. But anyway, this club has probably one of the most beautiful settings that I've ever seen, with a really chill atmosphere. My inner racket nerd came out when I found their collection on the wall. They had everyone's from Sampras to Nadal's, Pat Cash's. I was loving it. Now this club is really interesting and it's just full of history. Putting that aside, it was time to fuel my addiction with a coffee. I'm an athlete, so I definitely didn't have that fudge on the side. The coffee was actually really good, as you'd expect, and the presentation's just awesome. So after a pretty banging coffee, it was time to head to the courts. And we were on the clay, which I'll admit, out of all the surfaces, is probably the one that suits my game the least. But I'm really keen to learn how to play on it. So who was I practicing with? The King of Queens himself, Toby Martin, who has a career-high singles ranking of 641, and he is also the reigning Queen's Club champion. So I guess he'd do for today. So we were practicing with the Slazenger balls, which of course have a Queen's Club logo on them. Nice touch. I'll be doing a full review of tennis balls in a future video, so watch out for that. But for now, it's time to get into some tennis. So when I was younger, I grew up playing on hard court, and then later on started playing on AstroTurf and indoor carpet. So probably the polar opposite of a clay court, but I feel like it's a lot easier to go from a quicker surface onto a slower surface in terms of timing, but physically the slower surfaces like clay are a lot tougher, and you have to be far more organized with planning your points out, moving your opponent off the court, exposing angles. So you have to use a lot more variety of shots, heights and spins to be effective on clay. And of course the movement is completely different. You really have to flow. So normally on a hard court I would slide after the shot, but on the clay you have to slide into the shot, which is something that I'm still really learning how to do and gaining confidence doing it. Now, probably one of the biggest perceived weaknesses in my game would be the single-handed backhand. On the clay, the ball gets up really high, but because I'm pretty strong, I actually quite like dealing with the high balls on the backhand, so I didn't feel like this was too much of an issue. And I also slice really well, which on the clay, it's not something that people come across very often, so it's a really good change-up. It's effective. And Toby also has a great backhand, so it was a really good test to see how I would match up against him on the backhand side. Now, he's also a very experienced clay court player, so I was really keen to test my game out against him. So during the warm-up, I was just trying to tune everything up a little bit, making sure that I was getting the height and the spin, also moving around to take forehands on whenever I could, and then trying out the occasional drop shot, which didn't go great, but oh well. So when I'm practicing and my practice partner is at the net, I like to use that time to work on getting low and trying to take the ball early. Because the ball's coming back so quick, it just gets your footwork and your timing really sharp. So what am I working on at the net? I'm trying to keep my swings really short, practically no swing, and I'm almost just letting the ball bounce off my racket, and all of the work is being done by my feet. I'm trying to keep my hand really soft so I can really feel the ball, and also trying not to get killed. Not doing a very good job. Something that I was trying not to overthink on the clay was my serve. It's normally one of my biggest weapons, and I was aware that on clay some players slowed their serves up, added more spin, tried to go for more angle, etc. So the plan was just to commit to my serve, really hit it as I normally do, because it serves me well on all the other surfaces that I play on. And then if I needed to make any adjustments, then I could always dial it down a little bit. So it was time to get in some points. Toby was really good at using his serve to open up the angles. I could get the serve back, but then there was just too much space to cover. At the change of ends, we often talk about the game that's just happened. We both reflect on it. We both give each other feedback on what was effective, what wasn't. Now, Toby's a little bit older than me, and he has some really valuable experience and insight, so it was really good to hear what he had to say. Most of the feedback revolved around patterns, planning the point out before you'd either serve or return. And you can see that with the way Toby plays. His points are very structured, it's very clear what he wants to do and achieve. Something I really like about Toby's game, and that I'm definitely gonna take into my own game, is how much he stays in the cross. So he makes really disciplined decisions, whereas I was trying to make a bit too much happen. I was trying to go down the line a bit too much. The right shot on this backhand though. Toby was pretty rock solid. He didn't really miss anything, didn't give away too much for free. I was hitting a few double faults, and this was probably a result of how Toby was playing. I felt like I had to go for a little bit more to try and force an error or hit a winner. And it took me quite a while to calm down and put my focus back into something simple, which was just the serve and the next ball, and making sure that I didn't miss within the first 4 shots. It's the number one rule in tennis, and especially on clay, is just don't give away cheap errors. In this practice, we played 2 sets and a tiebreak. Toby took the first set comfortably, 6-3, and took the second set 6-4. But in the second set, the thing that changed was I really started to make him work more for the points. I started to slow my ball pace down a little bit and aim for more height, aim for more depth, and just aim to make it really physical. And then my confidence started to grow a little bit, and I started to add a few things on top, like maybe hitting a few bigger shots and coming forward. But the base layer of my game was a really heavy shaped ball, really solid from the back, not missing. So my advice for anyone who's in my situation, who plays a lot on fast hard courts or even indoor courts, and you're going to play someone on clay, someone who's more experienced than you, plays a lot on clay, I would say don't panic and don't try and make things happen too soon. I found that just shaping the ball down the middle of the court, keeping good height and depth was really effective. The main skills for me on the clay court are patience and discipline. I feel like no matter who you play on a clay court, it's going to be a bit of a battle. If you really want to take your game to the next level, you have to start taking on more forehands. You'll see that me and Toby, whenever we get the opportunity, we try and take on a forehand. Even if you don't feel comfortable in the short term doing it, if you miss some, eventually your forehand will be the weapon because of the angle that you're able to achieve and the pace, the spin, etc. The forehand really has the ability to put fear into your opponent, and it's just crucial to impose yourself. So you can see me doing it here. Anytime that I get the chance to get on the forehand, I do it. You can see Toby doing it here really effectively, and the results are devastating. You can see that players are basically using their serve or the return to set up the forehand. So that was our session at Queen's over. I had a great time and really enjoyed playing here. Big thank you to Toby for getting me in. Of course, I had to try the cappuccino before I left, and I have to say the way they froth their milk is next level. So we had a debrief on the balcony and a good laugh, and then it was time for me to head home. Thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.